Good evening. Thank you all so much for coming out. We're going to go ahead and get started. I live by an old adage: if you start on time, you can end on time. Thank you all for coming out to the Tau Beta Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternities Candidates Forum. I am Montre Freeman, and I serve as the bosses of this chapter. And here are our rules of engagement. You should have received 2 sheets of paper. One was a sample ballot, and one has the agenda on it. The sample ballot first. As you see, the order that you appear, that will be the order that you will answer the questions in. So if it's only 2 people in a category and we got 3 questions, we'll just go 1 to go first and then 2 will go first the next time so we can be fair to everyone. Here are the remaining rules of engagement. You will go in the order that appear on the sample ballot. You will have 2 minutes to answer your question. You will receive a warning at 1 minute and 30 seconds. That is the warning. The yellow is the warning. At the 2-minute mark, he will hold up that red sign. We will cut you off. Okay? Just so we're clear. We will cut you off. We have to say succinct and on time, okay? Please respect your opponent. Let's give the voter the necessary information for them to make an informed decision about who they wish to represent them in each race. Thank you, and I wish you all the best. Are there any questions before I introduce the moderator for the evening? All right, just for your information, Mr. J. Bill is live streaming this on Big Sports on YouTube, and that live stream has started now. Please place all phones on silent. Now I introduce to you our moderator for the evening, a retired Halifax County Schools administrator with 30+ years of service. He currently serves as the Vice Chairman of the Halifax County Board of Education, and he is our chapter's current chaplain. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Titus Feeble.
Thank you, Brother Bosses. I told my wife before I left the house that I couldn't be Anderson Cooper or Don Lemon, but I'll do my best to be a very good moderator so that the voters can make an informed decision about the future of Halifax County. First, we will have the North Carolina House. And I believe Mr. McDaniel is here. Will you come forward? The microphone is midway at the table. While Mr. Bill is getting the microphone set, the one thing I did in Halifax County years ago was I was a radio announcer at WSMY back in the day. And the one thing that I'm always alert about are microphones. And they never work when you need them to work. Are you there, Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate every second of your time. My name is Gerald Mcdaniel. I live in Round Rapids, 701 Carolina Street. Worked for 34 years as plant manager of Georgia City treating plants. And now retired now, and I'm interested in helping the county. Things I didn't used to pay attention to, I had to speak up for. And I want to speak of coal ash, I want to speak of tolling, and I want to speak of some of the worst race relations I can imagine in District 27.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McDaniel. The first question for this evening for the North Carolina House. What are the most important issues facing constituents in our legislative district? You have 2 minutes.
Well, we're Tier 1. We were Tier 1 when I got on the scene, and we're still Tier 1, and I don't know when we'll be out of it. I want to mention one thing, tourism, economic development. They echoed each other 10 years ago that if there was one toll camera on 95, you would gridlock 301. Okay, the gas dealers didn't want to, they came out with no toll 95 because they scared they would toll 95, not toll 85, and they'd lose gas business on 85. So the no toll 95 is just a scam for the big boys to milk the exits. I want mom and pops to milk the exits. I want mom and pop to say, I'll give you a quarter back, pay your toll. You stop at my business, you come up that avenue, you know, you go down 301, 301 would be Route 66. But what I'm saying is, if you hammer down through Carolina, you pay your tolls. If you stop, get down, come in, sit a spell in Carolina, get off the highway, come up the avenue with a carload of tourists instead of a truckload of chips. We need to open the avenue, we need to open 301. That is an industry in itself.
The next question is, what do you see as economic development opportunities for our region?
We've got to leave these dirty businesses alone. Westmoreland over here was a premeditated environmental hit and run that only lasted 26 years. This is coal ash. It's nice and pretty, it's like graphite. I don't think it's in Stretch Armstrong, but it's like Etch-a-Sketch. Well, it's beautiful and it's harmless. It's harmless. You see it now? You see what you breathe? If I took the top off of this right now and sneezed, every one of you breathed before we left the building. The incumbent gave the paper mill a get out of jail card free because they passed House Bill 467, which prevents nuisance actions against agriculture and forestry. And I believe I have a letter here from the Northampton County Commissioners asking the incumbent what is he thinking about. And I'd like to bring up one other thing real quick. This is Child Abuse Month. World Health Organization defines child abuse and child maltreatment as all forms of physical and emotional ill treatment, sexual abuse, neglect, or negligent treatment or commercial or other exploitation, resulting in actual or potential harm to the child's health, survival, development, or dignity in the content of a relationship of responsibility, trust, and power. This is Child Abuse Month. We've got the twirlers, we've got all that. And my opponent has a buddy who says, I know, get ready to throw me out because it should be thrown out, but I hope one of you has the guts to answer the question. I'm quoting someone. That is it. Well.
And the last question, Mr. McDaniel, what differentiates you from the other candidates?
I won't put up with somebody that just because they're in office says they're not going to have a goddamn nigga in the house. That's what makes me different. And I've got it on tape, and it's Michael Ray's asshole buddy saying, that's what I will do, that's what I will do. You vote for me, it won't cost you a dime. I will promise you some change. We will be off the rate plantation, once and for all.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel.
And sir, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for being so blunt, but I just had to tell you. I told the city council, they threw me out. They ain't got the nerve to ask me who I was for. They know who they are.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. Thank you.
You gotta know.
Thank you.
The next race is the Superior Court Judge, District 6A. When you come up, just introduce yourself and we'll take it from there.
Hello, my name is Brenda Branch, candidate for Superior Court Judge for Halifax County.
Jeffrey Davis, candidate for Superior Court Judge, Halifax County.
Roland Graves, I'm your current Superior Court Judge for Halifax County.
Well, just since you have the mic, we'll start. What do you consider to be the biggest concern for the Superior Court, and how do you plan to address it?
Well, let me say first, I have been practicing in Superior Court in this county for 14 years. I was an ADA for 2 years here in Halifax in the late 2000s, and then in 2010 I went to work with Chichester Law Office here in Grand Rapids. And I've been there for the last 12 years, and I have been practicing in Superior Court in this county, doing both civil and criminal cases for that time period. And so I think the biggest problem that we've got is just simply court backlog. There are people sitting in jail for 4 years, and that's not fair to the victims of those crimes, and it's not fair to the accused or their families. I mean, I stand beside people every day, and I get calls at my office in cases where people say, well, when is the state going to try this case? When are they going to take care of this? And they're cases that are 2016s, 2015s, 2014s. At some point, we've got to work harder. We're not going to get that backlog handled just by continuing the way things are. Something has to be done to move forward because we're just getting further and further behind as time goes on. That's, to me, as somebody that deals, that represents clients every day, that deals with these cases down there, that's the biggest thing. The other thing, too, is you know, we talk so much about criminal cases, but civil cases are also a big part of Superior Court. And I have done quite a bit of civil law in my career. I'm currently attorney for the city of Grand Rapids. I also have recently been appointed attorney for the community college. And that's incredibly important, both to not only our residents, you know, when you're in a car accident and you have a serious case that ends up down there, or to our business owners. You know, making sure that we've got
Judge Branch.
Thank you for the question, Brother Few. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for having me. The biggest concern that I would say that I currently see is a lack of confidence in our court system. And that stems from a lot of different issues. One is what Attorney Davis just highlighted, and that is the backlog. You also have concerns from victims of cases who feel like their rights aren't really being adequately protected. It comes from law enforcement officers who charge people with crimes and see them out, and they're out on the street before the officer can get home. You know, all these type of things add up, and it chips away at the confidence that people have in our court system. And once our court system loses its legitimacy in the eyes of the public, we no longer have a court system. And that's what we need to bring back. That's one thing that I've tried to continue, that my predecessor, Judge Hinton, who seated in the back, really was hard about. And that was just holding people to a high standard and not allowing things to just slip through the cracks. And I've, tried to continue that trend that she started. And that starts with just listening to concerns of the community. I've talked to prosecutors, I've talked to defense attorneys, I've talked to law enforcement, and the everyday citizen, just to hear their concerns. And I don't take it lightly. I know my job is not one that was, given to me from on high. I know that I'm here at the will of the people, and I ask that the people keep me in that position so I can continue that trend. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the question was what we see as an issue here. So we'll do it in the form of a problem, then we'll do it in the form of solutions. So the backlog is a statewide problem. Having been Chief District Court Judge and formed relationships in Raleigh with our judiciary, as opposed to our legislative and our gubernatorial branch, I know that our Chief Justice Newby has in the last year found backlog of cases to be an issue across the state. He's published this information to statewide court leadership. Based on this information, the Chief Justice mandated the administrative office of the court to develop a toolkit to help decrease statewide backlog. This has never been done, has never been mandated by a Chief Justice. This gives more needed resources and statewide direction to make needed changes. This toolkit mandates the building of a team with the local leadership. It provides needed support. Everyone will be mandated to be there. It provides resources. This Chief Justice has received the most in resources than any Chief Justice in a long while. He's ready to use it. It includes the judges, the clerks, the DA. Once in place, this team will be responsible for outlining a plan to give back to the Chief Justice to reduce backlog. And this is to determine whether we need part-time staff, extra staff, overtime, or emergency judges. I would urge the team to request that we take all that's available. I would then request a Superior Court Judge Program Manager, Superior Court Judge Coordinator to coordinate programs and services that we do not currently have in Superior Court. We would also look to internal changes, which would be these: one judge, one court, so that the judge could monitor when the case was continued and who continued it and why. Also require more coordination and communication between DA and attorneys who practice in several counties. You need them over here, but they're over there. That case is then continued. Thank you.
Back to Attorney Davis. Second question. How critical is experience concerning the position of Superior Court Judge?
If I may, it should be attorney grade now, so we should keep the rotation there.
Thank you.
So it'll be attorney grade and then attorney coming out. I'm sorry, it'll be judge grade, and then judge branch, and then attorney grade. And then the third question will be judge branch, attorney grade, and judge grade.
I'm confused. I have two agendas before me. I have the sample ballot before me, and then I have the list on the agenda before me, and the list of the agenda is not necessarily in the same order. So to help me out in terms of the questioning, Brother Bosses, if you would just...
Yes. So yes, now it's a judge grade, and then followed by judge branch, and then attorney grade.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Experience, that is a very important thing when it comes to a Superior Court judge. And I want to highlight something, that District Court and Superior Court are not one and the same. I'm the only candidate who actually has experience as a Superior Court judge. I've been conducting trials and hearings and reviewing search warrants and things of that nature since I took the position, or since I was sworn in to the position. Before I became the Superior Court judge, I was an assistant DA for 8 years, where I prosecuted everything ranging from speeding tickets to murder. I actually tried murder cases. I've actually prosecuted murder cases from beginning to end. I worked in the North Carolina Attorney General's office for 3 years, where I gained experience in civil litigation. I did workers' comp, I did medical malpractice, almost everything under the sun when it comes to representing the state of North Carolina in the North Carolina Attorney General's office. I've appeared in the North Carolina Court of Appeals. I've appeared in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. I've appeared at the North Carolina Industrial Commission. I've appeared at North Carolina Office of Administrative Hearings, Superior Court, District Court, and all 3 federal district courts in the state of North Carolina. So I do have the experience that it takes to be a Superior Court judge. A lot of the things that a Superior Court judge has to do, I've already done, and I'm currently doing those things. And not to give myself a pat on the back, but I think I'm doing a good job of it. So I ask that starting, I think it's Thursday, I'm asking you to vote for me, Norman Graves, to remain your Superior Court judge and keep bringing that experience to the bench. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that experience is important because with experience, it leads us to know that we still have to have solutions. And so when we have solutions to backlog, that means that you do continue with the one judge, one court, availability 5 days each week, ongoing collaboration with Superior Court and District Court to set opposite court dates, request 2 ADAs in court, and maybe have to help advocate for more DAs. Limit the striking of order for arrest in cases because they don't come to court. It puts the case off continually and continually. We're not born learning how to make decisions. It's something that's learned. And if you're on one side as a defense attorney, you know that side, that's your specialty. If you're on one side as a prosecutor, you know that side, that's your specialty. But as a learned district court judge, I know how to take both sides and make decisions. In learning to make decisions, you take lumps and bruises. And as you take your lumps and bruises, you grow. And having been making decisions on custody, child support, DWI, domestic violence, property values under $10,000, having made those decisions, having implemented programs, I've had the time now to learn and grow to be an independent, experienced decision maker who has grown and now ready to take on the responsibilities of Superior Court, not just as to the law, but as to programs that we don't have, as to having a relationship in Raleigh to know that there's funding out there, that we can get programs out there, as to learning the nuances. I know the nuances. I've been a judge. I know when attorneys can't be there because they have 2 or 3 practices in different counties. I understand when victims don't show up because they don't have rides or they're afraid. I understand that a bond cannot be set as a sentence, but can be set to ensure the defendant will come back to court. I also know about counties who've been sued for having bonds too high. I also know about attorneys who ask for bond reductions. You get to know those things. Thank you.
So, a couple things. Number one, Superior Court and District Court are apples and oranges. And I say that as somebody who's been practicing here in Halifax County for 14 years. Superior Court handles very serious criminal matters, and those are things like murder and sexual assault and robbery on the one hand, and on the other hand, it handles complicated civil cases and civil cases where the amount in controversy is over $25,000. And so we have one Superior Court judge here in Halifax County. One Superior Court judge, and I want to emphasize that. Now, that's in contrast with District Court where we have 4. And so who your Superior Court judge is very important because those cases, when they come up for review, get reviewed by the Court of Appeals. And if a Superior Court judge makes a wrong decision about some point of law or some arcane piece of civil procedure, then it's going to get overturned and you're just going to have to do it again. And you're going to further delay justice for whether it's a civil client in that case or whether it's a criminal defendant in that case. That their justice is going to be delayed as something works back and forth up and down the appellate system. But I guess going to the question with respect to experience, I've got 14 years of experience in Superior Court in Halifax County. Not doing stuff at the Industrial Commission, although I've done that. Not doing stuff in other forums or other areas of law, because I've done that too. But Superior Court in Halifax County, I have been arguing on behalf of my clients in civil and criminal cases for the last 14 years. And so that's my experience. And so, you know, those issues of civil procedure, those issues of criminal procedure and constitutional rights and all those things, I've been the person saying, hey, judge, you've got to follow this law. This is what law applies in this case. I've been making those arguments. And that's something where I've had to go out and you know, as my job as an attorney is research those things and present that to the court. So,
The next question, and the final question, is why do you want this position, and what qualifications do you bring?
I've been a prosecutor where I've seen one-sided view as my opponents. You see the defense side, you see the prosecution side. I've been a district court judge where I've had to accept, listen to the prosecution and the defense and make a decision. That takes learning, that takes time to learn, and I've done that. I've been a prosecutor, I've presented all types of criminal cases to the court. I've been serving as chief district court judge for 14 years, having been elected by the voters in Halifax County in 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. I've served honorably. I was also appointed as chief district court judge by Chief Justice Sarah Bailey, 2008, Chief Justice Mark Martin, 2014, and retained by Chief Justice Beasley in 2018, and our current Chief Justice Newby has retained me since 2020. These justices are the highest judicial authority in our state for our courts. I've served honorably, I've learned, and I've grown. And therefore, I feel that this experience in making decisions should go to the next level of these serious cases, because now I've had the experience of listening to both sides and making a decision, while at the same time implementing programs, because I found the need and see the need. Because we're in Superior Court doesn't mean that we are immune from all of the issues and concerns in our community. So we must know and learn to do both. And so this is why I am running for Superior Court. It's time to have programs, drug courts, and it's time to have veteran courts, mediation sessions. It's time to say we're going to be in court more than 2 days. We're going to be there 5 days. We're going to be available. We're going to see what's up there in Raleigh that we can get. We're going to look at counties who got sued for having a bond policy that wasn't appropriate. We're going to know these things because we're going to have these kind of relationships, not just sit on that one bench. Yes, we're going to be on the bench. Thank you.
so am I. So I guess first of all, I'm a native of Halifax County. I've made my career here, and whether or not I am elected to this seat, I'm not going anywhere. This is where my family lives. My wife owns the music school on the avenue. You know, I'm committed to this community, and I'm committed to practicing law here. And so, at some point, you know, I realize that, you know, there's only so much that I can do as a regular attorney, that I've got to do something more, and I see being a Superior Court judge as a way to try to bring more justice to the people of this county, and to try to affect the things that I have been trying to do for so many years on, whether it was as a prosecutor or as a defense attorney or an attorney in civil cases. And I think it's important that a Superior Court judge take responsibility and not look for people in Raleigh to go and solve our problems, because they're not going to do that. They've not done that, and they have no interest in doing that. We have to solve our problems here, and part of that is having a judge who's going to come to court and who's going to try those cases, and who's going to create a culture in our court system that says, no, you know, we've got to be here, and we've got to focus in, and we've got to work hard and do something about these cases. And so that's why I'm running for this position, is because my experience with Halifax County, I have represented people on both sides of the courtroom, and I have been with them not only in the little bit of the case that comes up in front of a judge, but also in the lead up to the case and preparation for that. I've dealt with families where you know, sons and daughters have ended up, you know, either been at risk of going to jail or going to jail. I've talked with people who have been injured in motor vehicle accidents, and, you know, are going through all kinds of complicated medical treatment while they also have legal issues going on. I've been there with those people. I've dealt with them personally, face to face, and that creates that puts a face on the people of Halifax County. That
Thank you for the question, Mr. Few. The reason why I want this position, want to keep this position rather, is because I'm the most qualified candidate. The governor of North Carolina had a choice. He had a choice as to two other candidates that were seeking that same position when that appointment was made. And the recommendation of the prior Superior Court judge, Judge Hinton, carried a lot of weight with him. And at my swearing in, I don't know if anybody's seen the video, but Judge Hinton explained her rationale in terms of picking me as to be her replacement brother. And that's not the only reason why I'm here. I'm also here because I want to do something right in this world. You know, we're living in a time in which everything wrong is considered right. Wars and rumors of wars is all you hear on TV. Crime is everywhere. Folks just out in the streets doing whatever they want. And you got folks sitting in jail who don't need to be there. And we got some people out on the streets who do need to be there. So everything is just upside down right now. Like on the show Stranger Things, you got the upside down world. That's where we're at right now. And it's my mission in life to do what God put me here to do, and that is to do justice. And if that's what you want out of your Superior Court judge, I'm asking you to vote for Norman Graves, starting Thursday, all the way through early vote, and May 17th, tell everybody in your family, if you want justice, vote for Norman Graves. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to the Superior Court judges, candidates. Thank you. Before the candidates for sheriff come up, Scott Hall had a scheduling conflict for tonight, and he couldn't be here. And I believe April 7th, if we had had April 7th, he could have come. But on the 26th, he has a scheduling conflict. So at this particular time, with the candidates for Halifax County Sheriff, proceed to the stage, Mr. Jimmy Silver, Mr. Kyrie Davis. State your name and with your record.
My name is Kyrie Davis. I am running for sheriff. I started my law enforcement career in 2003 with the Halifax County Sheriff's Office. Once again, my name is Kyrie Davis. I'm one of the candidates, one of the three candidates for sheriff here in Halifax County. I started my law enforcement career in 2003 with the Halifax County Sheriff's Office. With the Sheriff's Office, I started off as a deputy, ended up getting promoted to a corporal, then to narcotics. I served as an undercover narcotics agent for about a year. Left narcotics, became a criminal investigator, where I was an investigator for just over 5.5 years, where we worked everything from the regular misdemeanors, larcenies, murders, rapes, things of that nature. I left the Sheriff's Office in 2011. I started back with the Enfield Police Department in 2014 as the captain, and shortly after I started, I was appointed as Chief of Police by the commissioners there in Enfield. I served as Chief of Police for just over 5.5 years before Mr. Freeman, who was our current town administrator, he ended up leaving. I put him for his position. I've been our town administrator for just about 1.5 years now. I have a diploma in computer technology. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I have a master's degree in public administration. And I have 2 advanced law enforcement certifications from the state of North Carolina. One in criminal justice training standards, the other one in sheriff training standards. I graduated from UNC School of Government, being certified in city and county management. I graduated from Wake Tech Community College in municipal management and Wilson Community College in law enforcement from their Law Enforcement Management Institute. And at the other forums, that's where I would stop. I know I only have a couple minutes, but somebody got on me because I did not mention my wife and my kids last time. So I married my high school sweetheart. We got married in 2003. We've been together since '97. I have 2 wonderful kids, a young man, handsome young man by the name of Jada, who's 11, and my young princess, Avery, who's 7.
Good evening, everyone. Man, we look like we're at a funeral. Help us on the way, brothers. My name is Jimmy Silver. I'm running for sheriff. I want to tell you, my experience started before I started in law enforcement. You know, the big thing I see right now, we need leadership. My experience started with leadership in the military, discipline, direction, something I believe the sheriff's department needed because, you know, that was the thing that saved me. That's why I understand some of these young people. The military gave me the direction. It gave me the leadership, and I continue to build upon that and stuff. Someone asked me the other day, said, how did you get into politics? What kind of politics kind of came to me? I started at correctional institution after I left at Caledonia. I went to work at Rocky Mountain Police Department. Shortly after being there, they came to me and said, hey, would you work on this neighborhood reclamation team and stuff? I said, whatever, you know, I'm learning. But anyway, I got to take Barbara Bush stuff and got some other details. That led me to one thing, that I met people and they said, well, you ever thought about working for state law enforcement? I said, I'm just a country boy from Iowa. All I want to do is make a decent living. But anyway, I ended up going from there to Rocky Mountain, like I said, Rocky Mountain Police Department, then to DMV enforcement. Then we had a merger. And man, I was told, hey, y'all guys won't never have a chance to excel or do anything. Man, I went there, again, politics and things looking for me. I went to transition trooper school. From there, I took the promotion process. They said, you'll never get promoted. Just like I heard this before. You'll never get sheriff in Halifax County. You ain't at the right pedigree, you ain't the right this and that. Most of the people told me that ended up working for me, by the way. But anyway, leadership is what it's all about, what we need. I've been a police officer. I worked everything from homicide, rape, sexual assault. I've spent time out in the community. People say, what have you been doing since you've been retired? I worked in my tribe. What I did in Halifax County before I retired, when I retired in Nash County, I sponsored a car show at my church. I came to the church almost every Sunday because I want the youth of my community in Halifax County to have opportunities I did not have. What have I did in Roanoke Rapids? I sponsored a car show with the American Legion when I bought the trophies and stuff. I usually don't tell it, but people been on about telling. I don't go out and solicit to spend other people's campaign money to do stuff. I spend Jimmy City money. So if you see me doing something, it's not for show, it's because of what I want to do. But we need a sheriff that's going to care about the people and have that same passion and drive to want to get it right. Because guys, it's time to stop playing games. As you saw last week, we had a young lady who was murdered. The system failed her. And it started, I'm not going to point it at the sheriff's department, or the police department, or the D office. Everybody failed that young lady. And it's time for us to stop failing and start achieving. And that's why I'm running for sheriff, but we're going to talk about that more in a minute. Thank you for your time.
The first question will go to Mr. Davis. In your opinion, what is the most important skill that you should possess as sheriff?
You have to have honor and accountability and communication. Because every relationship starts with communication. The people have to trust you that you're going to do the right thing. If you're not honorable and you don't have their trust and you don't communicate with them, then you lost everything. And I don't care if it's the sheriff's position, the judge's position, DA's position. I don't care what position it is. Those are important characteristics that you must have to hold a position. Right now, our current administration, our sheriff's office, does not have that. We need to bring that back to our community. We need to bring back trust in our law enforcement agencies. When you put people in jail for years Come to find out that, hey, it was just a hunch while we put them in there, and then they get that out. That don't just hurt law enforcement here in Halifax County. That hurts law enforcement everywhere. When George Floyd was murdered, that hurt law enforcement everywhere. You have to have the trust from your community. You have to be transparent. You have to have communication. Now, a few years ago when I was the chief, we had a situation on our post office, and we had a white officer shoot and kill a black man there in Enfield. This was back when everybody was rioting and everything else, and people could have burned Enfield down. But I had my citizens call me and said, Chief, we trust you. We trust your department. You made the call to take the shot. We trust that y'all done everything in y'all power to get that man out safely. And his decisions dictated our decisions. And the community stood by us, and they stand by us to this day. And that's because they trust me, we were transparent with them, and we communicated. Not when we needed them, but from the beginning.
Could you repeat the question? Forgive me for standing up, guys. I've been a state and federal instructor, and when you were answering somebody and talking to somebody, they worked it to me standing up, so forgive me. I was talking just moved that way, so.
But still, in your opinion, what is the most important skill that you should possess as sheriff?
To me, it's leadership and management. There are two differences in leadership and management. You have some people can manage somebody but can't lead anything. You have some people that can lead a lot of people that can't manage anything. But as a sheriff, you got to be able to do both. You got to be able to instill trust in your people so they go out and do the right thing. See, right now, we have a lack of leadership in the sheriff departments. People don't have respect and stuff. And it's not just here in Halifax County, it's across the nation. I talked about that in 2017, 15, in the magazine, State Trooper magazine, national magazine. I said, if we don't change the way we're doing, we're going to have riots, and we're going to have different things. Not a race war, but we're going to have people calling out those issues. And lo and behold, and we can start changing here in Halifax County. I want to be part of that change, part of that growth, to have leadership and management and people trust. When you call 911, you know that an officer is going to come, that deputy. He's going to answer your call, listen to your problem, try to find a solution. He may not make you happy, but he followed the law, he followed policy, that we don't make mistakes that cost people their life or lose their property legals. We just need to be accountable and have trained and certified people and a leader that gets out there and work with the people and listen. The only way you're going to know what's going on if you get out there and listen to your people. When I say your people, your deputies, your people, you who I work for. I don't work for another politician. That's why I like the sheriff department versus other agencies. You're accountable to the people every 4 years, and you dictate what happened, not somebody in Raleigh. You people dictate what happened. You have more power than you know. Thank you.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Silver's first.
I'm ready. Shoot it to me, baby. Don't think about it. Just give it to me. Hey, if I can't make a decision right now, hey, I don't need to be sure.
There is an increase in violent crime in Halifax County. How should this be addressed?
Again, we need to look at the root of the issue. What we know a lot of it is gun violence, gangs, drugs. We know that. We know it's poverty. We know it's a bunch of things. It's just fact. We can make excuses, but some people are just hateful. My grandparents would say some people are just hateful. But as law enforcement, we need to figure out solutions, problems, hold people accountable, not make mistakes. See, you erode away at the criminal justice system when you make those mistakes and make bad charges. When you lock somebody up for 4 years, and you treat them like an animal, you don't let them out. See, we got problems in the jail. The jail is not even letting these people out and stuff. We got problems. Deputies responding to people and not taking care of the charge. We had a lady, son had a gun pointed at him and showed a video, and nothing happened. That's going to lead to a murder, crime down the road. So we're lacking leadership. We need to get a focus on crime. We need to partner with the judicial system. Talk with the district attorney. Talk with the judges. We need to call an emergency meeting. I would call a meeting day one, whether they come or not, It's up to them, but believe me one thing, you will know the next day between Facebook, social media, you will know. I want you to hold me accountable, and I'm gonna hold the rest of the judicial system accountable. But as citizens, I'm gonna hold you guys accountable. I can't come to one neighborhood and make a change if everybody stay locked up in the house. But I understand why you stay locked up in the house, because you haven't had anybody that you can trust and believe in. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a change. We're gonna do law enforcement fair, right, we're gonna listen to the people, do good investigation. We're gonna build a strong team. We're gonna get the people we got there. We'll get some of them up to speed. We're not gonna be dumping people, but we're gonna make sure that people get ready and get right. Hold on with me. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
There is an increase in violent crime in Halifax County. How should this be addressed?
One thing you need to do is get out and speak with your community. You need to get with your judges, you need to get with your DA's office, your other police chiefs, and your sheriff. As the sheriff, I would get with other police chiefs and come together, because we as law enforcement, we have jurisdiction lines and boundaries. Criminals, they don't have those boundaries. So I'm the police chief in Enfield, so I enforce stuff in the Enfield city limits, but outside the Enfield city limits, there's the sheriff's office. And crime from outside of the county comes into my city. But guess who we don't communicate with? The sheriff's office. We tried, they won't communicate with us. The same people that are committing crimes in the county are coming into Weldon, Roanoke Rapids, Littleton, and Enfield, Scotland, and committing crimes. We have to be all in one accord and on the same page and work together. When I became the chief of Enfield, crime was out of the roof. I mean, it kept me up days, nights. Every time I went home, my phone would ring. I would have to go back to work, shoot, and everything else. But what we done is we went out and we hit the streets. We trained the officers, we held them accountable, and then we made sure we held the citizens accountable. Once they started to trust us, they started reaching out to us. We went from being reactive to proactive. And when you're proactive, you're out here just stopping things or deterring it before it happens. After the citizens trusted us and believed in us and that we would do the right thing, we went from being proactive to coactive. And coactive is when the law enforcement community, the law enforcement and the community work together to solve and deter crimes. I don't care what position you are in. I don't care how long you've been in there. If the community does not trust you, you will not be effective in your position. I have a relationship with not only the Enfield community, but the Roanoke Rapids community, the Weldon, Scotland Neck, all of Halifax County in total. We have to have somebody that already has those relationships in the position so we can reduce the crime throughout the entire county. We need to take off crime, and to be honest with you, I flushed crime out of Enfield and flushed it into the county.
Describe your leadership style.
I have a democratic process. I like to involve all of my leaders. When I give you, you earn a position, you don't just earn the position as a title. You earn the responsibility that comes with it. And if you can't do that position, then we'll take you out of it and put somebody else in it. Another one, I have a servant leadership, because as sheriff or any other leader that you serve in your community, you have to have a servant leadership style. But also with a servant leadership style, you have to have accountability. So just because we work for you as citizens, don't mean you get to tell me what to do all the time. Because we're going to be fair, firm, and consistent. We're going to uphold the law. We're going to make sure we do the right thing. But with the democratic process, you're instilling confidence and leadership in your team. And I don't care if you work there from day one or day 1,000. You have a voice, you have an opinion. Because new people can bring stuff to the table too. And you have to listen to them to get things. Because they're the boots on the ground. I'm the city manager, and tomorrow if y'all in Enfield, come and get you some sweet potatoes about 1:30. We're passing out sweet potatoes, but I get out here and work, and I get out here in my community, and I'm part of the boots on the ground. I don't care what position you get, you never get to how to deal with people that you work with every day. And that's my leadership style, that's what we do, and so far, it has been effective.
Again, leadership to me is leading from the front, not from the back. Leadership is allowing people to do what they need to do, but making sure they're prepared, starting with the hiring process to the firing process, because good leadership do that sometimes. But leading is making sure your people are trained. And when I'm talking about training, when you hire them, the recruitment process, retention, getting out, working with your people, know what's going on. You can't lead 8 to 5. You got to come out there sometime 2 o'clock at night. Not that you don't trust them, but you got to let them know that you care about them. Letting people know that you care. Leadership, there are several different styles, like I say, some is authoritative. I don't believe in that dictator. I will do it, as I used to tell the truth, but I will help you manage yourself if you can. But I believe in letting people manage themselves. And if they can't, we get them up to speed and stuff. Because, you know, every time somebody go out there, they're going to be a representative, a leader for the sheriff's department. If they work a night shift or not, I want to train a bunch of leaders. But I do believe leadership starts with training. As Coleman Powell said, there are very, very few leaders born. Leaders are made. People are not born with that talent or skill to communicate with people. Some of it come, just like we heard about, experience. That is true. It takes a non-experienced leader learning people's styles. And you got to be an adaptable leader, because each employee is going to have a different personality. He's going to have a different learning style. And you're going to have to adapt to them. You go to communities. You're going to have to be a different leader in some communities. You're going to have to understand what their needs are. You're going to have to lead them in different, directions and stuff. But a leader when a leader walks into the room, nobody's going to have to tell you his name. Most of the people will know who that leader is. It's a skill and a talent that he'll learn, he builds, and the people recognize it. Thank you, guys. I look forward to being your next leader, your next sheriff.
I want to say thank you to the sheriff candidates for Halifax County.
Ms. Ernestine Bazemore, if you will, please come forward.
Ms. Bazemore is running for the Senate and North Carolina Senate, and she's driven all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina, to be with us. And we're going to give her 3 minutes to talk.
I tell you, I think I have the easiest job tonight. I'm going to win. I can say anything I want, come out on it tonight. But seriously, I would love your support and continue my work in the Senate. As you know, when I first became a senator, COVID, so I could not get around to the various counties as I wanted to. And then to add insult to injuries, I had a car accident, and I totaled my car. Almost totaled me, but I'm here, thank God. And I'm up, running, and ready to support our people, to be a voice in North Carolina Senate, to bring about your concerns, your wants, your needs. You need someone there that knows what's happening in every position. You need to have been there in order to get it. Medicaid expansion. That has been a big, big choice of mine, because I watched people die, could not get to their doctor's appointment because we did not have Medicaid expansion. And when I was in the hospital, I thank God for that experience of 30 days, I saw where they called code blue for 12 people in one night. That should not happen. Then every day after, it was code blue, code blue. So we need Medicaid expansion. We are currently working on broadband, preferably by 2025. It will be in most of the homes here. So that is a plus. Now, what I saw, and we need to please go out and vote. When your life is not as important as dredging a river or putting money in the zoo, that hurts me. Put the right people in place that will be able to serve you. Vote Democrat, please, because We were able to sustain the governor's veto because we had just enough. But as you know, they're shooting for the supermajority. That's why now I'm covering 10 districts. How can you effectively cover 10 counties? It doesn't make sense to me, but that's a way to make sure that the Republicans win out. I'm sorry, I'm just a strong advocate for Democrats. We gotta win, we gotta go out and vote. We have to make this work. If not,
That's our time.
come turn back hands of time.
Thank you, Ms. Next, we have the candidates for District Attorney, District 07, Mr. Jamal Sumney and Ms. Kim Scott. Could you please state your name and tell us a little bit about you in 2 minutes?
I apologize, I'm coming from another function, but thank you. Good evening. My name is Kim Scott, and I am running for District Attorney here in Halifax County, Hertford County, Northampton County, and Bertie County. I'm running for District Attorney because I've been with the District Attorney's Office almost the last 14 years. I've had an opportunity to see firsthand exactly what's gone right, but more importantly, what's gone wrong in the District Attorney's Office and our court system. So I'm asking for an opportunity to be put in a position of leadership to really make a difference, some positive changes for the citizens here in Halifax County. I can tell you that when you go to the polls and elect your district attorney, there are some things that you shouldn't compromise on. Ethics is one of them. That's because when your elected officials tell you something, you should be able to believe what they say, especially your elected prosecutor. The role of the prosecutor is kind of like a gatekeeper. Their job is to represent victims of crime and protect everyone's rights. So I'm not telling you what I'll do when elected as your district attorney. I'm telling you what I've done for almost the last 14 years as an assistant district attorney. It's been one of my greatest prides and pleasures to represent victims of the state of North Carolina, and I've done so successfully. I've tried cases before juries, many with my opponent, worked out and resolved cases. Now, when you listen to what people say, you should be able to believe them. Things matter. Experience matters. I'm the only prosecutor in this race that has ever prosecuted in Halifax County. I'm the only person in this race that understands the inner workings of how the Halifax County District Attorney's Office works. Why does that matter? Because on day one of taking the position, I'm the only person that's prepared to hit the ground running. That matters. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamal Sumney. I am also running for district attorney. I have 24 years of criminal law experience, 19 as a defense attorney and 5 years as a prosecutor. I worked under David Beard and Ms. Asbell in my early days, my formative years when I first started prosecuting. I'm running because there are some serious problems in this district. We've got people that are sitting in jail that are charged with crimes awaiting trial, that are sitting in jail for 5 to 6 years awaiting trial. 5 to 6 years, from a taxpayer standpoint, you all are paying $30,000 a year to feed and house these individuals that are not being tried. You're paying $30,000 a year. Superior Court starts on Monday, and it either ends on Monday or it ends on Tuesday. So the court time is not being utilized, the resources aren't being utilized, and people are sitting in jail awaiting trial. Why is that important? because victims are not receiving the justice they so deserve, and also you've got the families of these murder victims that are not receiving closure on their cases. More importantly, you've got the people that are charged with crime, which is not being prosecuted. The offenders have no respect for the court system because they know their cases are being tried. So we have the confidence in our system has been eroded, and we have to rebuild that confidence. I would echo some of the things that the Superior Court candidate said earlier. We have some serious problems we have to address. That's why I'm running for DA. I'm asking for your support and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
I believe the first question goes to Ms. Scott. What do you consider the biggest challenge of the position you are running for? And what areas need improvement and why?
Thank you for the question. That's an easy one. I believe that the biggest challenge is rebuilding trust with the district attorney's office and our court system and the community. Because the community doesn't trust the court system. And so what we see is that we have cases where people don't want to come forward. What we see is that the community doesn't believe that we're here to fight for them. And so we have got to do our part as the district attorney's office to rebuild that trust. And we do so by being honest and transparent. We do so by being ethical. We don't walk around and say that we're ethical. We do so by showing it in our actions. When we stand before the court should be able to believe what we say. When we stand before you as candidates, you should be able to believe what we say. And so at all times, the person that is representing you as your elected district attorney should be someone who is a person of good character and integrity. Because ethics matter. Because what you do when no one is watching still matters. That is the true definition of someone's character. That should never be compromised. I believe the biggest thing that needs to be changed in the district attorney's office is training. I think that we overlooked the fact that there was a merger some years ago where Halifax County was combined with Bertie, Hertford, and Northampton, and positions were taken out of this district, but the caseload increased, so there was a backlog. And then we went through COVID, and during that period of time, there was an increase in violent crime across the state of North Carolina on average of 25%, but in this district, even higher. You know what that creates? A front log. So we've got a backlog and a front log, and during that period of time, there's a mass exodus of assistant district attorneys across the state of North Carolina. But the reason I know that is because I'm experienced and I've been in the office.
Can I go?
Did I hear the question again?
Yes.
What do you consider the biggest challenge of the position you are running for? And what areas need improvement and why?
Okay. Now, first of all, there's been a 34.6% increase in pending felonies in this district. There's been a 34.8% increase in pending major felony cases in this district. There's been a 54.4% increase in pending DWI cases in this district. However, there's been a 73% decrease in this district in the prosecution of cases. Let's not get it twisted. Before COVID, the DA's office that in this district had one of the worst prosecution rates in the state. In 2016, 2017, they had a 64% dismissal rate, which means they will only prosecute 36% of the cases. 36% of the cases is what we're talking about. So what do we have to do? We have to train our ADAs. First of all, we need to get some experienced prosecutors in that office. Some experienced prosecutors that are willing to work. When I say work, I mean roll your sleeves up, get to work. Evaluate these cases. Go in. We got 69 pending murders. We're not talking about the serious felonies that are pending in these 3 counties or 4 counties. We're talking about, right now we're just about murders. We got 69 pending murders in this case. Put them on a board, from oldest to newest, okay? You go in, you get the witnesses, you get the victim's family, you sit down with them in law enforcement. You sit down with them and you discuss the cases. You talk about the cases, you find out what you can prove, what you can't prove. When you have the victim's family come in, they'll know things you won't know. So you bring them in and you talk to them. And then you go to the crime scene. You do your investigation. Then what you do is you take these cases and you put them on the calendar, and what's not happening now under my opponent's administration, which she's a part of, you try the cases. You put 3 to 4 serious felonies on the cases, on those trial calendars. You have all the witnesses in court and law enforcement, and you try the cases. You get the jury to come in at 10 o'clock in the morning, not 2 o'clock on Monday. Have the jury come in at 10, and you get the case. If they don't take the plea, you try the case.
The next question is, what role does the DA have in criminal justice reform?
As the criminal justice reform, but the district attorney has a lot of power to come in and do reforms. One of the first reforms that I would enact is I would do away with the driving policy that Ms. Asbell has, because people that get speed tickets, a lot of times you might be going to pick your children up from school, or you might be going to late for work and you get a speed ticket. And we're in a tier 1 county where money is tight, and this district attorney will require you to go to a driving school, pay $400 or $350, and sit in class all day on a Saturday, which makes no sense. In a poor area, why are you punishing people because they're speeding? We need to prosecute, what we need to focus on is prosecute the serious crime. Not people driving speed, going to work and picking their children up. Another thing we need to do is we could do driver's license reinstatement classes for people to help get the license back so they can get a job and go to work. And we need to also have some expungement classes so that people could have an opportunity to get their records clean. They don't know how to get their records clean. That's the things we can do. And also, first-time offenders. You've got a young child or a young man or a young woman that say did something stupid, like broke into a school. Something immature. A lot of times you can look at their record, look at what they did, look at their prior involvement in the juvenile system, and instead of giving them a record they're saddled with for the rest of their life, how about we take the time and say, look, bring the child in with the parents, say, look, how much is your criminal record worth to you? Is it worth 3 weekends in jail? Is it worth 4 weekends in jail and a letter of apology and some community service? If that's the case, then that's something we can do to keep them from having a record. They can do a couple of weekends in jail, some community service, a letter of apology, stay out of trouble for a year, and then we can dismiss the case. That's criminal reform, helping people. See, the DA is a voice for all people, not just defendants, but not only victims, but defendants as well. We have to be a voice for everyone, be fair to everyone, treat everybody from the same spoon, treat them fairly.
Yes, please, thank you.
What role does the DA have in criminal justice reform?
Well, call me old school, but in 2022, I still believe that Lady Justice is blind. So when you walk into our courthouses and you see that she's holding the scales of justice and she has a blindfold over her eyes, what I've seen over my last almost 14 years of prosecuting is that blindfold has slipped. I think we need to tighten the blindfold back on Lady Justice. And so that's what I believe the role of the district attorney is. And so if elected as the district attorney, and I certainly understand that there's been a lot of rhetoric trying to put me in that district attorney seat, but I've been an assistant district attorney. I've not been in a position to make the policies and the protocols or however things are going to go in that office. I've been a good employee. I'm asking to be put in that position of leadership to make a difference. And that would be one of the first things, because I think that is so very important, because I don't think it should ever matter what race you are when you come before the court. I don't think it should ever matter how much money you have, who your attorney is, or if you can even afford one. Because some people just can't afford an attorney. They should get the same offer as everyone else. But that's not what we see in our court systems. That's not what happens. We see where people are treated differently because of who they know in the community or how well connected they are. I believe the blindfold of Lady Justice needs to be tightened. That's what I think criminal justice reform is. Treating people with respect and dignity, regardless of where they sit in the courtroom, because everyone that comes in contact with the court system should be able to walk out of the court system knowing that they've been treated with respect, because our court system serves everyone. And fairness, that's not something that should be doled out based on who you know or how much money you can afford to retain a certain attorney, one person over another. But that's not what we've seen. But that's exactly what justice is. Cases based on facts and evidence alone.
Please stop when we hold the red flag up, and I say stop, we want to be fair to all candidates. Thank you.
And the last question is,
What was it, question two?
why do you want this job?
That's a loaded question. I've made no secrets about that. I believe that this journey was placed on my heart by God. And I'm not going to stand up in front of a group of people and say anything different than I've said to my family and friends. You know, I've served victims for almost the last 17 years because it's what I believe in, it's what I'm passionate about. And I believe that your elected prosecutor should be someone who is of good character, someone who has integrity, and someone who believes in what they do. And I've spent almost the last 14 years as a prosecutor representing victims of crime passionately. We work cases up in court. We work cases up and we present them before the court. And in doing so, we spend a lot of time, and by we, I mean myself and the legal assistants that I work with, because I'm running, because I want to set the standard of excellence that I have for myself as a standard of excellence for all of the other assistant district attorneys in the office. But I work cases up, and I work hand in hand with victims, and I work hand in hand with law enforcement. And I do so because I believe that the way people are treated when they're encountered by the court system matters and makes a difference. And I don't believe people are disposable. I think how we treat people and what we do in people's cases matters. And I believe that this position is not a position of power. It's a position of responsibility, and it's one that shouldn't be taken lightly, because when you go to the polls and elect your district attorney, that person should be someone that you trust, because the reality is that we deal with human trauma every day, and sometimes we have to deliver information that is not what families want to hear. But if we stand before you and tell things that are skewed to benefit us now to get in the position, what do people do when they get the position? What do they do to keep the position? You should always be able to believe what your candidates tell you.
A couple things I want to say to what you just said. Believe what your candidates tell you. Now, I put several things in the paper that have not been contradicted at no point during this campaign. I put in the paper about the number of cases and how many long people been sitting in jail. I put the numbers in there about how these cases are increasing, how they're not prosecuting cases in the DA's office. None of that has been contradicted at all. Another thing my opponent said is that Lady Justice is blind. But right now in Halifax County, Northampton County, Berkeley County, and Herman County, Lady Justice is absent. Lady Justice is absent because cases are not being tried. When we talk about disposability, let's talk about these people that sit in jail for 5, 6 years awaiting trial. Who cares about that? Let's talk about these victims whose cases are being heard. Witnesses disappear and forget and don't want to come to court because they out walking around, they see a defendant in food line, pushing the cart, who don't want to come to court because they're being intimidated. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about these families that aren't getting closure. The families I've met with, the families that endorse my candidacy of murder victims, cases that are pending in the DA's office right now. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about going to court. The reason why I'm running because it can't get no worse. We need change. We need change now on all levels. This is a serious, serious situation with what we have right now. Cases are being tried, nothing's being done. The confidence is eroded. People, no one has confidence in our system. Cases are being tried, people are sitting in jail, and something has to change. We have to get there, we have to try these cases. That's why I'm running, because it can't get any worse than what it is right now. So we talk about ethics, let's talk about doing the right thing by everybody. The DA has to be a voice for everyone, victims and defendants alike. They're human beings like everybody else. The victims need justice, defendants need their cases tried. When we talk about accountability, we talk about accessibility.
I want to say thank you to our DA candidates. Thank you so much.
And I apologize, Tom, I got to run to Raleigh. I would like to stay, but I have enjoyed the time.
Thank you, sir. agenda are the candidates for the Halifax County School Board of Education. Come forward. As we follow the order of the candidates on the ballot, starting with Mr. Cooper, and Dr. Lackman, Mr. Pierce, Ms. Robinson, Ms. Wilkins, and Mr. Bill.
Excuse me, Mr. Future, you changed our city name to make it more.
You're fine. He's gonna let you know.
You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to the mighty members of the Tau Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi. Good afternoon, Mr. Few, our moderator. Good afternoon to the audience, and certainly good afternoon to fellow candidates. I'm not going to stand up here and say, if you don't know me by now, you'll never know me, because guess what? You do know me. I'm Claude Clutch Cooper, and I'm a candidate for the Halifax County Board of Education. Presently, I serve on the Board of Education. I've been the board chair for 3 years and the vice chair for 1 year. I retired from the Halifax County School District after 40 years of working here. I was a principal for 22 years, y'all. Principal of the year 4 times and runner-up 3 other times. I was a basketball coach, varsity boys and girls. Coach of the year 14 times in 17 years. I'm a proven winner. I don't believe in losing, but I believe in Halifax County schools. That's why I'm running. I'm running because I love these children here in Halifax County. I'm running because I don't know anything else. At every school where I was the principal for 6 years, there was a sign on the board that said, education is my business, my only business. I'm not a politician, you all. I'm an educator. I have 3 premises that I've always stressed from the day I walked in Halifax County. I want to continue to improve student achievement. That's what I'm about. Continue to have unqualified financial audits and also continue to solicit community support. I am begging for your support because I know that you know that I believe in our children.
Ms. Silver.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Silver Lashley, and I'm a resident here in Halifax County. Been a resident here all my life. Married to a Northampton County man, but he's over here with me. And we do have 5 children that attended Halifax County School and graduated from Halifax County School, and they are all grown and gone and moved away, but I still have an interest here. I have an interest in the school system because I want the best for our children. If we don't educate our children and give them the best, then they're going to be seeing the judges and the sheriff and all of those. And so it's very important to me that we continue to educate our children in the proper way, whether we have students in our community or not. They may be gone, but we still should have the interest. And I have 30 years plus experience in educating children. I started out as a parent volunteer because I saw some things in the school system that I didn't like. And after that, I went and worked as a teacher assistant and a bus driver for 18 years. And I was encouraged by one of my fellow board members that, you know, you need to go back to school and teach, because I was getting tossed around helping new teachers. And so I did that and have worked as a teacher in Halifax County and neighboring counties. And now I am serving as a new teacher mentor, a job that I truly enjoy. helping teachers be to serve children, and that's what I do.
Mr. Pierce.
Good evening. Happy to be back on the campus of one of my alma maters, Halifax Community College, and grateful to the gentlemen of the Tau Beta Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated for hosting this forum. My name is Rodney D. Pierce, and I'm a candidate for the Halifax County Schools Board of Education, and I'm running because I have firsthand experience. I have firsthand experience because I know firsthand the challenges of being a parent in this current time in public education, whether we're dealing with COVID, learning loss, virtual learning, etc. Why? Because I'm the only candidate who has children who are actively attending Halifax County schools. One at the Early College, which is right here on campus of Halifax Community College, one at William R. Davie Middle STEM Academy, one at the Radiant Springs Institute of Global Learning. I have a vested interest in this district because my children actually attend it now. And I want the same success for any child in this district that I want for my own. I'm also running because I'm an active classroom teacher, the only candidate who is still an active classroom teacher. So I know firsthand the challenges of the daily grind at a school because I'm in the school. I'm in the classroom. I'm interacting with the students. I'm interacting with other teachers. I'm interacting with the families of those students. I'm interacting with the ISS coordinators, with the administrators, with the guidance counselors. I'm there. So I know because I'm on the ground level. And again, I want the same success for those children that I want for my own. I'm endorsed by the Progressive Caucus of the North Carolina Democratic Party, and I'm endorsed by the Network for Public Education Action. You know, James Baldwin, the great African-American writer, had a saying. He said, "For these are all our children. We will either profit by or pay for whatever they become." And I want to make sure that we profit by what our children become in Halifax County schools. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Please place your phone to the side.
Ms. Robinson.
My apologies, that was an alarm going off for my son to take his medicine for the night. Ooh. Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him. That's coming from the books of Psalm, chapter 127, verse 3. My name is Janelle Robinson, and I have been serving in education for 18 years. I started as a special education teacher, advanced to a special education program director. I've served as an assistant principal. I'm currently serving in the role of a Section 504 coordinator and instructional support specialist for the special education department and a federal programs Title I coordinator. I have 2 young men by the ages of 24 and 10. Because my 10-year-old has a medical diagnosis of autism, I am able to say I'm the only candidate with a child enrolled in Halifax County Schools Special Education Department. I am endorsed by the North Carolina Progressive Caucus, and I'm also endorsed by the Network for Public Education Action. I am looking to run and serve on the Halifax County School Board. As you all know, there are 3 seats. Early voting does start on Thursday. Please vote for Janelle Robinson, and if you choose not to do early voting on May 17th, please vote for Janelle Robinson.
Ms. Wilkins.
Good evening to all of you. My name is Barbara Wilkins, and I am running for a seat on the Halifax County School Board. I was born in Halifax County, educated in Halifax County schools, daughter educated in Halifax County schools, worked in Halifax County schools, and retired from Halifax County schools. I care about Halifax County schools. Education is a serious matter. The board set policy, they adopt policy. Those policies guide student achievement. Those policies are reviewed at intervals to determine their effectiveness. I want to be a part of that process. That's why I am running, because a seat on the board is very serious, and it plays a big part in students' achievement. So I ask for your vote on for early voting beginning Thursday and May 17th for the election day. Thank you.
Mr. Bill.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank you for allowing me to come here this evening to speak to all the members of Omega Psi Phi and to all of the public. My name is Warren Keith Bell. I'm like Clerk said, if you don't know me by now, you don't know me because I think everybody knows me. It seems like deja vu, as I said recently here on Saturday, because I'm the only candidate up here that can say this. When people say they're endorsed by some political action groups and things like this, I have my endorsement done by the merit of my work. I can say this, that Judge Brenda Branch, both of her children, I taught them in Northampton County. I can say to Miss Joyce Lashley that 3 of her kids at Northwest Halifax High School, I taught them chemistry and science. I can say to Mr. Michael Hawkins, I taught his 2 daughters at Northwest Halifax. I could even say Miss Janelle Robinson, who I'm very proud of, because this is what you work for in education, to see somebody that's successful like her, who's actually running against me in this campaign. Because if she wins and I don't, guess what? I still win. And I can say that Mr. Kyrie Davis and his wife were running for sheriff. I was their teacher in school. And I can even say that the person that's running for our district attorney, Ms. Christian Scott, her husband was my student. So I've been endorsed already, just by my merit. 14 years as a teacher, 19 years as a principal. I can say that I have led schools that have come back and never made AYP on low performing and brought them out within a year. And I can say finally that when they started the ABCs, where they were doing the school report cards, that I was principal of Warren County High School, and that was the only school besides Ronald Rapids High School that was a high school in the surrounding 5 counties that made a C or better grade. I have a written, I have a performance. Thank you.
I believe the first question goes to Mr. Cooper. What do you see as positive attributes in Halifax County schools? And what do you see as challenges?
Thank you. It's almost impossible for me, with over 50 years of experience in Halifax County, to sit here and tell you anything in 3 minutes or 2 minutes. But I'm going to do my best. I am the chairperson of the PR committee for Halifax County Schools. I promote. I am a state certified trained PBIS trainer, positive behavior intervention support. That's what I do. Education is my business. So what do I see the positives of Halifax County? I don't even know where to begin, but I just do some of the physical stuff first. Ride by Northwest Halifax and look on the football field, there's a brand new press box. Ride over to Southeast Halifax and look on the outside, there's a brand new press box. There are new paved tracks at each one of those 2 schools. Ride up to each of the elementary schools and the middle schools and look at the smart boards that are placed in every one of the classrooms. Look at the training that we do for our teachers, all of them. What do I see? What do we need? Improvement, improved student achievement. I hear so much about a test score. Let me say this, our students, we want to improve student achievement, we sure do. How are we going to do that? You can't wish it. It's like a free throw. You can't wish that it goes in. You got to practice and make the free throw go in. I'm trained to do that. Our students deserve the best. And right now, and we are giving them that. If it hadn't been for this pandemic, y'all, if it had not been, we didn't have any school. Our district was no longer even in the low performing district. Had not been for the pandemic. So what do I see for improvement? We're going to improve that, and we're going to improve our parental support, and we're going to solicit you, each one of you, share with others. Our kids deserve the best.
Ms. Lashley.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Beard. One of the positive things that I believe, well, I know that we have going great for us in Halifax County Schools at this point, is working together with our community, working with the superintendent. And I say that as a positive because in the past we have had a lot of challenges working with commissioners through our superintendent's office, and then they have a really good working relationship. And another one of the positive things that we have conquered is dropout. Our dropout rate is much better than it used to be. We have kids coming back to school, graduating. We have 2 graduations a year. Talking about kids need a second chance, and when they don't make it in June graduation, they got class recovery, and they have another graduation in July, so they're able to do that. And we're this one. And our current involvement over the years has improved tremendously. We have had our days for days to come out, celebrate with the children and moms, and Grandparent Day, and those are a lot of positive things that we have going, and we just want to keep those focused. One of the challenges that we have is the negativism that comes from just a few of our citizens. When they can't have their way, they complain and try to get people on board to believe in some of the things they say. And I think if the adults get together and come together and not negative, then it will pass on to our children and our students, and they become more positive children.
Mr. Pierce.
Some of the positives in the Halifax County School District are sitting in this very room because there are, I think, quite a few of us in here who are alumni of Halifax County Schools. Not only am I an alumnus, Northwest Halifax, but I'm also an alumnus of the Halifax County Schools Beginning Teacher Program. I started my career in Halifax County Schools, taught there for 4 years. God rest the soul of Mrs. Muriel DeBose Rook, who was my BT mentor, one of the best. When I was finishing up the BT program in Halifax County Schools, I was named the most outstanding beginning teacher of the year. That was 2018. The very next year, I was named the North Carolina Council for the Social Studies Teacher of the Year, top social studies teacher in the state. So I could brag a little bit too about what I do in the classroom. Also, we have students from Halifax County Schools who are being accepted into the Step Up to STEM program at North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. Some from Davie, 1 from Davie, and I believe 5 from Enfield Middle STEAM Academy. So our students are taking advantage of the statewide opportunities that are presented to them. When we talk about the challenges that we are facing in the district, I think one of them would have to be teacher mobility and teacher attrition. Mobility is when a teacher leaves your district for another. Attrition is when they leave the profession altogether. And according to DPI, we had the sixth worst teacher mobility rate in the state last year, the 9th worst attrition rate. So we need to figure out a way to recruit, develop, and retain our teachers. The superintendent is doing a great job meeting with stakeholders like parents, but I believe he needs to expand. We talk about stakeholders and not a lot, but we need clergy, we need business owners, we need student advisors, we need educator advisory committees made up of teachers as well as classified employees, because all of these people are involved in this holistic education of our children. So that's one of the challenges involving more stakeholders.
Ms. Robinson.
Hello. In our district, we have parents. We have wonderful, dedicated parents that continue to send their children to Halifax County Schools to learn, despite the options that they do have here in Halifax County and surrounding Halifax County. And because our parents trust us to educate their babies and give them everything that they're entitled to, that's something that we're obligated to continue to do. There are people that want to work for Halifax County and are dedicated to providing an education for the students that we do have here. I have to be transparent and honest. We are not where we should be, and we're not where we want to be. I don't think anybody can currently say they're proud to have the highest percentage for low performing students in a school district. So there's 3 different sets of data that's out there. You have low performance school district data, and what that means when you're no longer a low performance school district, that you have at least 50% of your schools that have a passing report card grade. and that's issued by the Department of Public Instruction. What I am referring to is student achievement data, which shows that your students have to make a 3 or better, showing that they are on grade level. And that's the data that I'm looking at that says we are not where we want to be. When you look at every county in every county in the state of North Carolina, Halifax County has the highest percentage, which is a little over 16%. Not too far behind us is Weldon City Schools, Northampton County Schools, and other surrounding schools. The fact of the matter is we have work to do, and that's the negative, that we're going to get in and do the job and move us where we need to be.
Ms. Wilson.
The positives that I see with Halifax County Schools is that they do make sure that the students are recognized for their achievements. We see that on Facebook, and they also make sure that employees are recognized, and I think that is good for morale, to let people know that they are appreciated. Some of the challenges that I see would be declining enrollment. The enrollment from 2016 until now has dipped a lot. And I'm not sure if that is because they are riding a great distance from their home to their school. But I know that if we continue to dip and dip, we won't have too many children to teach. And I am hoping that we will look at the problem and evaluate the problem and try to find a solution to what's going on to make the enrollment decline as it is. Also, recruitment and teacher retention. That is something that needs to be reassessed. How we are doing that? How do we attract, recruiting, retention? How do we keep these teachers here once they get here? 29 positions, 29 vacancies that we have. They didn't just, that was as of this month. That shouldn't be as close to school as we are. As close to closing as we are. 29 vacancies. Thank you.
Mr. Bill.
One of the major improvements that I've seen was Dr. Cunningham and the President School Board have done things trying to get students interested in future careers. One of them is, I believe, is GRO, and they deal with agriculture programs, trying to teach young people how to become entrepreneurs through agriculture. Those type of things they've been doing, and also I've seen that at one time we had CTE programs at the high schools, which eventually went away because the school system and a lot of low-wealth school systems didn't have the money to be able to support them. But I can see now that they are creating programs over at the community college, not just the early college, but also putting some collaboration in between the community college to make sure the students can enroll in those programs as early as about midway through the 10th grade. Also, one of the things that they've done over the last few years since Dr. Cunningham has been here with the school board, they started the immersion, which is teaching foreign language based in Spanish at the elementary level. Those type of things are great, and it gives our children a head start. Also, recently, I've seen that they are talking about teacher recruitment. We have a problem in the STEM area with science and math as far as recruiting teachers. And so what they've done is they went out, along with me, where our president worked, and went out and recruited Filipino teachers, thinking outside the box. And a lot of people think, well, you have to pay certain fees and things of that sort. But what it was, they did a collaboration at one time. Now, one of the big things that I see as far as what we're looking at is we're starting to look at it, talking about traveling to schools and things of that sort. Is to going back to the small school process, or making sure the students don't have to travel. So when we start looking at this, one of the things they're looking at now is trying to build a K-8 school up in the Hollis area, so the students can be. Thank you.
Our next question will go to Mr. Cooper. Start with Ms. Lashley. Ms. Lashley. Ms. Lashley, why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Thank you. I think that I should be re-elected to the Halifax County School Board of Education to continue the process that we have made over the last few years. We have made a lot of progress. When I was elected back on the board in 2016, we was pretty much overtaken by the Department of Public Instruction. They were everywhere. We even had to have recorders in our board meeting. They didn't trust what we did. The finance department, the curriculum, they were overseeing everything. And we even had to have our officers in our board meetings because they was just out of control. And so over the years, we have had a lot of accomplishments. We don't have our resource officers in our board meetings anymore. DPI do not have to be there to take minutes to make sure that we're doing what we're doing. We begin clean audits, and we've come a long way. And I just want to be re-elected to the board that we can continue to make the process that we have been making. And one of the things about schools, we are in the process, just got approved a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, from the county commissions to build a new school in Hollis that with House K. And I think that's a good thing. I go visit my grandkids all over the school in Wake County. They have some of the nicest and beautiful inviting schools there to learn in. And like, that's what we want for our children. They shouldn't have to go to school in buildings that's 40 years old or more. And so I just want to continue the progress we have made, and that we continue that relationship that we have developed with our leaders here in Halifax County.
Mr. Pierce?
Yes, sir.
Why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
I believe I should be elected to the Board of Education because I believe it's time for new voices and new vision. I have a good amount of ideas that I like to bring to the board, and sometimes it appears that there aren't any new ideas coming to the board. We have a problem, as I said a few moments ago, with teacher retention, or teacher recruitment, teacher retainment, however you want to frame it. Why are we not looking to our neighboring district, Edgecombe County, and looking at their Edgecombe Scholars Program and starting a version of a Grow Our Own initiative right here? I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that grew up here, went to school here, worked here, and ended up leaving. Not because we wanted to. I teach in Nash County now. Taught in Halifax my first 4 years, but because we kind of had reached our peak or our ceiling and we wanted another challenge but weren't afforded that challenge by the district. Why are we not talking again to neighboring districts to start a Grow Our Own initiative so that we can tap into the students that we have who want to be teachers and use them to develop our future teacher pipeline? I just talked to Dr. Valerie Bridges this weekend, the Edgecombe County Superintendent, about that. Again, we also need to have more contributions from our stakeholders. We should have a parent advisory committee. I know that Dr. Cunningham already meets with parents. We should have a community advisory committee made up of clergy members, business owners, community leaders. We should have a student advisory committee. We as adults always make decisions for children, but we don't ever give them a chance to provide feedback or provide input. And we need an educator advisory committee made up of teachers and classified employees. Again, as board members, we're setting policy, but when are we giving opportunities for people to contribute in terms of feedback and input when the policy that we set affects them and they're the ones responsible for implementing it?
Ms. Robinson, why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
I should be elected to the Board of Education because I'm going to give the promise to the people to be responsive and transparent at all times.
I have experience in being a federal programs, a Title I coordinator, and a special education program director, and that gave me experience with budget. I'm going to make sure that the taxpayer dollars are appropriately allocated and spent. I am going to be a voice for the community, a voice for the children, and especially the children that are often not considered. Those are our English language learners, our children with a Section 504 plan, and our babies with disabilities. I have been advocating for the children of Halifax County Schools well before I made the decision to run, and serving as a board member, that is something that I will continue to do. If anyone doesn't know some of my work, I can give you 2 quick examples. I have filed a systemic complaint against Halifax County Schools when they did choose to charge a $40 Chromebook fee, and the Department of Public Instruction found them at fault and told them to stop doing it. I also filed a systemic complaint when all the students with disabilities were moved to a centralized location in Warden Elementary School. And the Department of Public Instruction found the district at fault, and all of those children had to be moved back to their home school. These are some things that I've done well before anyone could even apply to vote or run for this seat. I will continue to do the legwork and make sure that I am a voice for every person in the community and listen to you all, and make sure that your babies continue to be in good hands.
Ms. Logan.
As a board member, I will be committed to ensuring that all students get a high-quality education, that they are prepared for life, not just prepared to test. If our children do not get the education that they need now, they are going to end up in the jails, on the streets, selling drugs in the gangs. We have to prepare them now, give them an educational foundation that will prepare them to compete in this global society. If they can't compete, they will begin to do other things. Also, encourage communication among all stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, community, all involved, all that touch the child. Because one thing we know, all of us have something to bring to the table. And working together, we can ensure that our students, our children are educated. We can get the job done. No man is an island. Working together will bring us together, and we can make sure that all of us are satisfied when we see our children or our child get the education they need. Also, make sure that we all increase the transparency and also improve accountability. We are all given responsibilities. We know our responsibilities. We need to go out and do our responsibility. And if we can't do it, we need to be held accountable. Let the community know what's going on with the schools. Let them know what you're doing.
Mr. Bill.
Finally, I would like to say the job I presently do is that of the same as the superintendent. And the job I also do, actually, I do all the Title I, all the finance, all the operations, transportation, nutrition, and am accountable for all of the special ed EC service. Basically, the job I do is the whole central office. As a board member, if I'm elected, I would not need a lot of the training that a lot of new board members need, because I already know the job of actually the whole central office and the superintendent, because I've been doing it the last 5 years. I don't need the training. When I hit the ground, I'll be doing the job as far as making policy and things of that sort. I won't have to ask certain questions about policy being dictated to me, what state legislatures, statutes and things like that are. I already know them. Basically, if you elect me as the candidate, then you have a person that's tried and true. You have a person that will support the people of the county. You have a person that will be knowledgeable, that won't have to ask a lot of questions. Because one thing about it, you have a person who's already, I don't have to have the knowledge or know a whole lot about the problems. Only thing I need to know, what is the problem? Because I'm going to have a solution. You can count on that. And also, lastly, the one thing about it is that as a board member, the one thing I will always say, every decision that I will make for your child, for the children of this county, will be made as if that decision is being made for my own child. Thank you, God bless you, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Mr. Cooper?
You see, I'm going to get up on this one. I've sat here and I've sat here and I've sat here. Why should I be re-elected? Let me say this, there are very few people in this room who I haven't touched in my 53 years in working here in Halifax County. All the way down to the person that Dr. Lashley mentioned. I used to be her boss. I was the principal at Everest. I was the one who recommended that she go back and get her degree. I was the one that recommended that Mr. Rodney Peels, he interviewed me years ago when I was the principal at William R. Davie. Said, young man, you need to be in public education. Over there, Mr. Freeman, I was his wife's principal. I named her my student of the year. She was so good. I love Halifax County Schools. Why am I running again? Because I choose to refuse to turn it over to somebody who don't feel the same way that I do. I truly deserve not to be put down. I'm an expert. I forgot to tell y'all, I majored in math and minored in biology. I know numbers. That's what I do. Let me tell you about the 16.1 and the 16.3, even with the test score. Our student achievement is measured on the level, at the number of kids at level 3 or level 4. Proficiency. During the COVID, every school district in the state of North Carolina, their test scores went down. Ours did too. What did it show Halifax County Schools? I'll tell you what it showed us. That remote learning was not for us. It showed us, let us get our children back in the classroom that we're doing now, and the test scores will go up. Then you go and vote. Last name on that ballot, when you flip that page over, first name you see is going to be Claude Clutch Cooper. If you want somebody who cares for the children in Halifax County, who have proven that they'll do it, here I am. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Abner. Thank you.
And the very last question, starting with Mr. Pierce. What differentiates you from the other candidates?
What differentiates me from the other candidates are 4 things. I'm the only candidate who's going to come to the table with these 4 perspectives. Parent of children who are actively attending the district, former teacher in the district, alumnus of the district, and someone who just has a passion for not just this county, but the history of this county. I believe sometimes that we don't focus enough on the history of where we live or where we have lived for those of us who used to live in Halifax County. And I say that because growing up, when I went off to college, when I went off to school, one of the things that I was ashamed of was telling people I was from here. Then when I came home, started living here, started learning about the history of my community, I became empowered by it. That's what made me want to get into education. And by what I learned about the history of this county, I was able to empower my students to do things. I was able to empower myself as well, and the people in the community as well. So I'm bringing those perspectives to the table that no one else is bringing. A historian of the community, a parent of children in the district, an alumnus of the district, and a former employee of it. I have all of those perspectives that I'm bringing to the table. And one of the things that I want to do is see more of an infusion of local history into the curriculum of our district. If you don't teach the children the rich African-American history of Halifax County, if you don't empower them with that, what do you expect them to do when they go out here in the world? What do you expect them to have pride in? Why would you expect them to stay if you haven't taught them anything to be proud of and to try to keep and build a legacy on and make better for the next generation.
Ms. Robinson? What differentiates you from the other candidates?
For one, I'm the only candidate with a child enrolled in the special education program, and I'm the only candidate with a special education background. I have a master's in special education and a master's in school leadership, and I'm currently working on my doctorate in special education. I will be a voice for all of those children that are unfortunately often not considered when decisions are made. I have budgeting experience. I can come in and make sure that the dollars are appropriately allocated and that children are receiving all resources that they need. I will work towards making Halifax County Schools an environment where children want to come learn and they feel safe. Parents are instilling trust back into the school system, and also making sure that our children are equipped with the life skills that they need.
Thank you. Ms. Wilkins? Same question. What differentiates you from the other candidates?
I have a passion for education, and I don't think that, I mean, I think we all have a passion for education. But I have written grants. I am familiar with budgets, and I know how to manage a budget. I was formerly on the policy committee for Halifax County Schools, and I believe that, you know, I believe I am in tune to the needs. I am innovative. I can think outside of the box. And I know how to partner, to make partnerships. I have community organization skills. So I know how to partner with others to get things done. So I think that's what differentiates me from others on this panel.
Thank you, Ms. Bill. Mr. Bill?
What differentiates me from the other candidates, as I've already expounded on before, I have 14 years as a classroom teacher, chemistry, physics, engineering teacher, teacher of the year at Weldon High School, 1999. Students exceeded growth at every school I've been at where I taught. I have 21 years as an active duty and reserve officer in active reserves in the Army, retired at the rank of major. I operated budgets that were even bigger than Halifax County Schools' whole budget as a military officer. That included personnel, operations, materials, resources, training. I was the training officer for a 400-bed hospital unit. That unit, we had 22 different job sites going at the same time. I was over in charge of that. So the experience of running schools and programs I had there. 19 years as administrator, I was a principal at schools where every one of them made the AYP. We had one that had been on the low performing ever since they came out with the ABC model. At the end of the first year I was there, we came off the list, and out of 39 different things that you had to do where the next two high schools didn't have but 8, we hit all 39. That came from the staff and me working together as a team. There's no I in the schools. There's no I in Halifax County. There's us. Then I also am retiring in June. I will have my full time at disposal to make sure that I can serve at any time. I won't have a job. I'll be retired. And then finally, the thing about it, I also served as a corrections officer. And we talk about the pipeline to prison, because of my experience in the military and as a teacher and as a principal, I can assure you, we are in that in Halifax County. Thank you again. I need your vote to continue on to doing what God's purpose has been for me.
Mr. Cooper, same question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I look down, there's so much on my mind, and I want to make sure I say the right thing in this last 2 minutes. What differentiates me from everybody else is the love of God. He follows me wherever I go. And even to my most worthy opponents up here, they know this. I care about every last one of them. They my friends. We just happen to be running for the same 3 positions, but they are my friends. What do I have different? My background. I've been a coach. I've been a principal. I've been an assistant principal. I've been a recreation director. I'm trained, as I said before, in PBIS. Y'all have been by William R. David Middle School, and there used to be a sign out there at the road. Know where the sign came from? The county didn't have no money to get one. We bought it. My PTA raised $5,000, and that one up, we got $3,000 more, $8,000, and we put the sign out there. But one time when I was principal there, we had on that sign 77% at grade level. I'll never forget the lady sitting out there, Ms. Valencia Davis, came by there one day and said, Mr. Cooper said 77%. So a whole lot of the schools got higher than that. And I said to her, but Ms. Davis, that's the highest that William R. David ever had, 77%. Now look at where we have gone now. Now you got schools that's sitting here with 15% and 12% and 8%. You know what? I thought you all, when I got on the board, that I could help. I'm a math major, but guess what the law said? But you can't go into the classroom and teach that. You can't go into the classroom, board members, and use your expertise. When you take 101, School Board 101, you'll find that you're a bag load of tricks that you can't use. Don't let anybody tell you that Claude Cooper didn't tell you that. I was tutoring math every Saturday at Southeast before I got on the board. They were paying me. And I stopped. Vote for Claude Clutch Cooper.
Ms. Lashley, same question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Field. What makes me different from stand up from the other candidates is that I have a motto: if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me. And that's what I believe. And I believe in telling the truth and not part of the truth. And another thing that sets me apart, I've been a volunteer. I've been in schools and volunteered without pay. I've been a bus driver. I know how it is to drive a bus and have compassion for a bus driver that got 60 kids on a bus screaming and hollering from each side. I've been in the classroom as a teacher assistant and as a teacher. That's what makes me different. But I do want to say the thing about what makes me different. I'm going to be fair and honest. I'm not going to tell part of the truth, because one of the things that I want you to know is that there's no way in the world what we've been through in Halifax County and what we went through with DPI, that we're going to do something in violation of the students' rights. So it's more to the story. And if you want to know, I'll tell you the whole story about the $40, about the Chromebooks and all of that. But we were not ordered by DPI to do anything with that, just to make sure that we are treating everybody fair. We can't tell one group of students you have to pay and another group you don't have to pay. It had to be for everybody. So it was no complaint that was in favor of anybody. We just had to make sure they was doing the right thing. And again, there's no way, as far as we have come in Halifax County, that we're going to do anything to violate children's rights or the right of our teachers and our staff. And that's all it's about that. If you have one thing to know about that, just please see me afterwards. Thank you.
I want to thank the candidates for the Board of Education for Halifax County. Let's give them a round of applause. Are we ready? Next, we have the candidates for the Halifax County Clerk of Superior Court. Ms. Mills, could you give us 2 minutes of introducing yourself and tell us a little bit before I ask you the questions?
Hello, everybody. My name is James Mills. I was born over in Nash County and reared in Halifax County. I was reared over there on the resettlement farm in Tillery. My grandparents were resettlement farmers. I worked in the fields and pulled corn and chopped cotton and did all the things that farm children did back in my time. I went to Halifax County schools. I graduated from Broadway High School. My mother was an employee and is a retiree of Halifax County Schools. I have watched Halifax County Schools be a beacon in the community and a beacon to the lives of so many children. In Halifax County Schools continues to be that beacon. I am a proud member of the Board of Education of Halifax County Schools. I'm the finance chair. We have clean audits. We have no scandals. And our children have a higher graduation rate than they've had in 10 years. We are moving in the right direction. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm very happy to be a part of that with some very, very fine, fine people, some of whom you've seen here tonight. Like Ms. Lashley, I like to deal in facts, figures, and truth. So I like her thing here. If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me. So I believe that integrity is an integral part of any position that we hold, because all elected officials hold a position of trust.
The first question, Ms. Mills. The Clerk of Superior Court has 4 main responsibilities in the state of North Carolina: probate judge, record keeper, administrator, and controller. In your opinion, which is the most important and why?
In my opinion, the position probably would be, I would think, would be controller. That is, watching over the finances and handling the finances that come into the office of clerk. I think that handling the money is critically important. Of course, keeping account of the money, and also, you know, all of those positions, all those jobs are very, very important. But you asked me to pick one, so that's the one I would start with. Of course, acting as a probate judge is very, very important to people when they have deceased loved ones and somebody has handled and dispersed the monies and so forth. I know that that's important. I know that being an administrator over staff is important. I've done all those different things. I've done all that. I was an auditor for Shell Oil, which was, as you know, a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I worked at One Rockefeller Plaza in the city of New York for 5 years. I was treasurer for one of the largest nonprofits in the state, Legal Aid of North Carolina. I was the treasurer, and I held, believe me, I was the number 4 person in the largest, one of the largest nonprofits, and I take a great deal of pride in that because, look, you know, Legal Aid of North Carolina is composed mostly of lawyers. And I was a non-lawyer, and I was the number 4 person in that corporation. I served 2 terms in that position. Thank you.
My second question, Mr. Mills, is what is the major responsibility of the Clerk of Superior Court?
Again, I think that the major responsibility is overseeing the administration of the office, and that would be control of the finances, money paid into the clerk's office, and keeping account of that, make sure all that money gets to the bank like it's supposed to, and reporting to the state as well as the county those receipts that they receive. And then record keeping. It's so critically important that the clerk's office also keep record of things such as judgments and so forth that get filed. Those judgments are filed, and the records of that's kept in the clerk's office. And the clerk has to be one to, if the judgment is settled or whatever, has to be active and make sure that they take show that their judgment is being paid and so forth. So the record keeping is critically important in that office as well. But again, I go back to the receipts and the banking and so forth. Honesty, integrity, and making sure that the staff is operating in a legal way. You know, all of the positions that we hold when we were elected, like when I was elected mayor, like I'm stopping there twice, and being on the Board of Education, you have to follow the law. The general statutes and the laws of the state of North Carolina, you take an oath to uphold those. So the major thing is to stick to the law. If you stick to the law, you don't go wrong. And then you know, in doing what you do. Thank you.
And the last question: what differentiates you from the other candidates?
Well, yeah, you know, I don't know a lot about the other candidate, and of course, you don't know a lot about the other candidate either, because the other candidate has made sure that they have made themselves invisible to us and have not participated in any other discourse that in regards to this election. Maybe I'm not a worthwhile opponent in her eyes, or I don't know. I can't say what she thinks, but I can say what I think. I believe that I am a person that's accessible to the public. I have respect for the public. I am a servant of the public. I understand that. I am not your ruler. I am your servant. And I will continue to operate with that type of mentality. You can count on me to do things in your community that's not being done. I heard someone mention expungements. I would establish expungement clinics to help people clear up their criminal records. I would have classes and clinics also to help people avoid foreclosure on their properties and so forth. I would help people and help our children with financial management, financial handling, being able to handle credit and so forth. These are the things that other clerks of court in other counties are doing, such as Carol White over in Edgecombe and some others. But this is what's going on, but we don't get that. All we get is invisibility. I'm requesting your support.
Thank you, Ms. Mills.
Thank you.
Our next candidates are for the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. You come forward. together. And at our last meeting, he informed me that he could not be at this forum. And he said, Mr. Few, I'm going to bring you something to your house. But I would love to be there, but he's in California. And I believe he's at a conference in the Brother Bob. And he personally brought this letter to my house. And he said, for political forum on April the 26th, sorry I'll be out of town, please share. Thanks, Vernon. And I will ask you to stand and give it 2 minutes. Not after Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant writes, I filed for re-election on December the 6th, 2021, seeking my 4th term on the Halifax County Board of Commissioners as an at-large candidate. I plan to continue the priorities as in my previous 3 terms, which include the following jobs: education, senior citizens, public safety, and maintaining low property taxes. I have served as board chairman for the past 8 years. The biggest challenges facing Halifax County are economic development and education. The Board of Commissioners, along with the Economic Development Board of Directors and the Executive Director, work closely in bringing economic development opportunities to our county. The Halifax County Board of Commissioners fund all 3 public school districts based on average daily membership. Also, Halifax County provides additional capital funds to schools when requested, needed, and funds are available. The North Carolina Educational Lottery funds are provided for each school district as requested by the individual school districts. Halifax County also provides funding to Halifax Community College. I bring varied experience in many areas, including education, government, and business. My service in the community for the past 40 years has prepared me to continue to serve as a Halifax County Commissioner. The board in recent years has made many accomplishments, which include better pay for county employees, Bendel Holtz purchased Clouser 2 sawmill in the Enfield area, Roseburg Forest Products and Weldon plans to bring a total of investment of $200 million with plans to hire 137 full-time jobs over a 2-year period. Halifax County has a good working relationship with schools and municipalities. As commissioner, I plan to continue working together effectively for our community. I have been married to my wife, the former Sergeant Walden, for 41 years. Together we are the proud parents of 2 children, Kendall Bryant Phillips and Kevin Walden Bryant. We are also grandparents to Eric and Lydia Faith. That is a statement that I received from Commissioner Bryant. Now at this time we'll start and put it on the ballot. Mrs. Janelle Davis will start and stand and give us a 2-minute about yourself. And next would be Mr. Tryon Jaime. Did I pronounce that correct? And last was Mr. Chuck Hasty. Ms. Richardson.
Good evening. I know we've been sitting here for a long time, so I'm going to try to make this short. My name is Janelle Richardson Davis. I am running for the seat of Halifax County Board of Commissioners. I'm from the Hollister community. I'm a proud member of the Haliwassaponi Indian tribe. I've been a professional educator for the past 26 years. 14 of those years I've served as administrator in school leadership positions. I've been program directors and coordinators. In those positions, I've been able to enhance my leadership skills to include organizational management, budgeting, program evaluation, and program development and creations, and also evaluating our staff in those schools, which is all very important to the role of a county commissioner. I'm also a mom of 2 young adults, Jayla, who's 20, and Noah, who is 18, and he's a graduating senior this year. I have been married to my superhero for 24 years now, Tony Davis, and I call him my superhero because you have to understand, my husband has been living with pancreatic cancer for the past 6 years, and he has not been sick or missed a day of work since his diagnosis. And he loves to work, he loves to build houses, but he loves to bless people with his talents as well. As your county commissioner, my top priority will be to bring a new voice to the table. I want to bring my new voice to represent those people who have been silent for years. Again, we don't have people on the county commissioner right now, maybe one, that represents the rural areas like Hollister, or Hopgood, or Tillery, or Scotland Neck. So I want to bring a new voice to that. If we have a new voice at the table and everybody's represented, then we can create programs that will represent everybody else.
Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to make it quick as well. I know we're losing you, so I'm going to just make it real fast. My name is Tryon Hammy. I am running for Halifax County Commissioner. I'm a service-connected disabled veteran. I've worked with the federal government for over 20 years, serving both in the Departments of Defense, U.S. Army, Medical Command, and Navy Medicine, and currently serving at the executive level for the Veterans Healthcare Administration. Personal accountability is not about changing others. It's about changing ourselves. Personal accountability, the power of one. This is a quote from John Miller. I want to run for Halifax County Commission. I'm not even going to read all of this that I wrote because I want to make a difference in this county. I want to represent the marginalized, the oppressed, the poor, those who have been left out. We have great programs in this county. There's a lot of things going on if you do your research, but they're not utilized and neither do people know about them. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get on this board and bring a new voice and a new vision.
My name is Chuck Hasty. I'm retired. I'm retired as a police chief, almost 31 years of service. Running to do something different in our county, bringing new perspective, like Mr. Hammy said. New ideas, new visions. I have my associate's degree from Halifax Community College. I hold this place very dear. It started me off in my career. And I went on to get my bachelor's degree from the Columbia Southern University in Criminal Justice Administration. I'm married to my wife, Tanya, for 14 years. I have 3 wonderful children. Trey, who's 27. Macy is 21. She followed me into the law enforcement field. She's a Nash County deputy. And Carson, she's a senior. This year will be graduating and going to attend NC State University. Some of my goals and priorities, if elected, are ensure a community network of basic human services and infrastructure that maintains, protects, and promotes the well-being of all county residents. Implementing, planning, economic development policies which create a balanced, dynamic local economy in which promote diversity, sustainable growth, and enhanced revenue while embracing our community values. Promote an interactive and engaging system of governance that reflects our community values. Invest in quality county facilities, a diverse workforce, and technology to achieve high-performing county government. Create, preserve, and protect the natural environment that includes clean water, clean air, wildlife, important natural lands, and sustainable energy for present and future generations, and ensure high quality of life for everybody in Halifax County. Thank you.
Our first question for the commissioner candidates goes first to Mrs. Davis. What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the county?
The most pressing need, I think, right now would be to make sure that our buildings and services that we offer to our citizens are safe and well kept and maintained and budgeted and cared for. For example, it just came to my attention recently that our prisons in our county are not adequately kept up and are not safe, and many of our inmates are not allowed, they're living in conditions that are not humane. They're not allowed, they can't come out into the yard to get their exercises that they need on a daily basis. And even though they have committed the crime, they're still human beings. And they needed to be treated with respect in that manner. And so I think we have, the county commissioner hasn't shared officially, but we have been fined. And so for those deficiencies that we have in our prison system. So I think we need to look into areas such as that and make sure that they're adequate and they're safe and maintained and they are fit the requirements and safety guidelines that are expected so that all our citizens are safe.
Mr. Hammond.
Could you please?
What do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the county?
The most pressing need, and you probably hear a recurring theme when it comes to my answers, is ensuring that we raise the literacy rate amongst our adults. That can be part of the process. With capital gains, with any other infrastructure, if the people can't carry it out, if they don't have the power to carry it out, then it will do us no good. Currently, we have enough things already happening that can keep us afloat. So we just need to make what we have work by empowering the people and bringing them and getting them involved with us.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes, sir. Working on getting internet access for everybody throughout the whole county. I know we talked about the educational system, talked about how online learning, everybody didn't have access to the internet. Also, like Ms. Davis said, the detention center, that's one of the pressing needs. It's rather small. I mean, we need to do something, whether build a new jail or form a partnership with another county on a regional jail to keep the staff and the inmates safe there. Ms. Davis mentioned in an earlier form maybe sewer infrastructure throughout the whole county, because some land up where she lives at, they can't get it to perk, and it's not good if you want to get affordable housing. Also, education, working on getting our education, all the districts where they need to be at, back above board, where we can recruit the economic development here in Halifax County, because a lot of times when businesses look, they look at our educational systems and how are they performing, and those are some of our biggest needs.
Thank you. I believe the next question goes to Mr. Hammond. When managing public agencies, is it better to have more employees at a modest wage or few employees at a wage high enough to attract quality applicants?
Tough question without reviewing the situation or the context. But from my current point of view, money matters and quality workers matters as well. And we don't have a workforce that's going to come in, that's going to work and give us what we need, especially for our county government, at a modest wage. What we'll have is fewer employees anyway, because they're going to go to new or higher paying municipalities after we done trained them. So I feel that pay matters. And so we should have higher wages and quality workers. Because with right management and right leadership and incentives, you can get the job done with a few.
Mr. Hayes?
Well, keeping and retaining qualified, hardworking and county employees will be forefront. All employees getting appropriate pay. I looked at some of the job listings that are posted. I think it's on RSPN, and it's kind of interesting. My wife looked at it too, because it's in the medical field, and they require a master's degree, and they're going to pay them $40,000. And that's not good. A master's degree, they've spent that much money on their education, and they're going to come out and pay them $40,000. We need to seriously look at all the county employees in that pay. But certain jobs you're required by law to have so many people there, and you just got to evaluate the situation. Like Mr. Hammy said, without the context, it's kind of hard to answer that question. But yes, having better pay, good benefits, and keeping and retaining those hard-working employees in all the departments.
Can you repeat the question?
I was getting ready to ask you the same thing. Let me see the context. When managing public agencies, is it better to have more employees at a modest wage or few employees at a wage high enough to attract quality applicants?
I think it's better, in most cases, to have management and agencies that have fewer workers, but they're paid for their skills, they're paid their worth. If they're experienced, then you're going to get the best from them. I know sometimes when we have a lot of low-paid workers or, say, temporary workers that are paid temporarily for those positions, they're not invested into the job that they're doing. So if we have higher pay and paying those employees what they're worth, then we're going to get better work from them, and they're going to buy into it and feel happy in that position and stay with us.
Thank you. And the very last question of tonight. Starting with Mr. Hammond. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Hastings. What is your experience with preparing or authorizing multi-million-dollar budgets?
Well, for the last 14 years of my law enforcement career, I was in the administrative role, and I was preparing budgets for the city of Roanoke Rapids as the police department, and also with the town of Enfield as the police chief. You go through there and you always review your previous budgets, see where you spent money, see where you saved money in those line items. So I'd say the last 14 years of my career, I've been working with budgets and managing budgets, applying for grants, and that kind of thing.
Thank you, Ms. Hastings. Ms. Davis.
I haven't had the privilege of managing multi-million-dollar budgets, but I have, as the lead principal and administrator at the Halifax Pony Charter School, I managed that budget. Like Mr. Bell said, he's currently there. I was the EC director, the Title I director, HR director, so I had to manage all those budgets and programs for those. Also making sure that they were audited correctly and making sure that the reports that were needed requested by those agencies were submitted in a timely manner. So I have over 14 years of working with budgets and managing budgets and making sure that they're spent effectively and on the resources and points that they were awarded for.
Mr. Phi, if you will, just repeat that question one more time to make sure that I answer it correctly.
What is your experience with preparing and authorizing multi-million-dollar budgets?
In my introduction, I brought up the fact that I worked for the federal governments and 3 different agencies intentionally. And that was to bring out the fact that I've worked with federal multi-million dollars, close to billion-dollar budgets, especially when it comes to health care for the veterans. So I have 20 years of that, working for the Department of the Army as both a soldier when I was working in supply and dealing with transportation, the movement of goods and things for the soldiers. Working for the Department of the Navy as a lead medical support administration assistant. Working for the Department of the Veteran Affairs where I'm at now. I pretty much manage the community-based outpatient clinic in Emporia and Richmond Hunter Homes. In short, that's what I do, is managing and authorizing budgets.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, before our bosses comes up to give his final remarks, I'd like to thank everyone who participated in this forum tonight. And I'm reminded of what Michelle Obama said. It's not what we have, it's what we give. And because you are able to sacrifice your personal lives to run for public office, it shows that you care about your community and you care about things that are going on in Halifax County. So it's not really what we have, it's what we're willing to give. Good luck in your endeavor. Early voting starts the 28th. Now we'll hear our final remarks for the bosses of our chapter from March 33.
Give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you all so much for coming out and being a part of the Tau Beta Beta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Candidates Forum. You can expect this every election. You can expect this every election. The brothers at 3 meetings back, I think it was Dr. Davis who said, if we're not in the fight, we can't complain about anything. 15 years ago, Jackson Brown said, whatever the Qs are doing, so goes the community. And we inspire other people to do things, right? We partner with other people to do things. And I'm so proud of the Divine Nine and the work they have done throughout this candidates season. And so, again, on behalf of the chapter, on behalf of the citizens of Halifax County, thank you, thank you, thank you. Jay Bell, please stand. Jay Bell is the CEO and owner of Big Sports. He streamed tonight's candidates forum. Our highest stream number was what? I know at 8:30 we were at 125. We were at 125. So people care and people heard you. People care and people heard you. Thank you all so much. To all the members of the Tau Beta Beta chapter, please stand. These brothers allow me to be here, and I am so humbled by that. Titus Few, thank you so much for an amazing, amazing show of professionalism. To all of you all who participated, please, 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 please stop by. Make sure, wave your hand, Lamont. Make sure he has your name and your email. We will communicate with you that way. If you have any suggestions on how we can make this better, make it more impactful, and how we can get more involved, please let me know or any one of these brothers know. Please be safe. God bless you all. Good night.